Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole. Donald Trump, don't trust China. China is asshole.
As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125% because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker. We have been overwhelmed with the amount of requests from countries around the world. I'll let the Secretary speak to that. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday. In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. The Secretary here has been a huge part of the President's trade team, of course, and will continue to lead these negotiations moving forward to look out for the American worker, which is always President Trump's goal.
This was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate, things will turn out well.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. When you try to kill our soldiers, we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Oh, China, China, you told your draws. Told your draws. And all we needed was a new president. And we are so back. And turned this big ship around. No more getting ripped off. Got to put our foot down. Got to have real leadership, an actual president. America first. No respect. All right. No respect. Go around and find out. Let's do it, DJT. And we want to send our prayers to Trump and the Trump administration before we get into this amazing video. And God bless you all and your families. God bless some beautiful patriots around the world. If you're new here, join the family. We got some massive breaking news, bombshells flying everywhere. It is happening in real time. You know, just as he promised, just as he said on the campaign. And hey, China, checkmate. Chess, not checkers. This man right here, DJT. All right, let's do it. This is what he just said. Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the United States of America to 125%. Effective immediately. As y'all know, it was just 104% yesterday. But at some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. You're good to be an American, don't it? When President Trump be president, yeah, I think when he done, y'all, we're gonna have to throw him on that mountain. Throw him on that mountain. Throw him on that Rushmore. We're gonna have to throw him on Rushmore. But by the time this man get done, we might have to throw him on Mount Rushmore. I'm just saying. 75 countries have called. And I believe it's even more now of me recording this. But 75 countries have called representatives of the United States, including the Departments of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution on subjects being discussed related to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and that these countries have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the United States. I have authorized a 90-day pause and sustainable lowered reciprocal tariffs during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. It's going down. Oh, I read that kind of fast. I need to slow down. Slow down, Rick, sir. Rick, slow down, sir. I know you're excited, sir. Slow down. But it's going on, man. It is going on right now, you guys.
Out from President Trump. The Dow is surging now up 1,500 points on this. President Trump has just put out a Truth Social saying, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world's markets, I am hereby raising the tariff charge to China by the U.S. to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called reps of the United States, including the Department of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs. And
yeah, I just read that out to y'all. We're not going to repeat it. I just read that out to them beautiful patriots. I just read that out loud and proud. But it's happening, man. It is happening. You know. And hey,
what are you thinking?
Well, I think today's announcement was terrific. And let me be clear, John. What I've said, I actually think the president is exactly right to be standing up and fighting for reciprocity. That is the right principle. I also think it's exactly right that he is focusing on China. Those have been the two things that I've been urging the president: focus on China, focus on reciprocity.
After
Ted
the news
Cruz.
today, what are you thinking?
All right, Ted. All right, brother Ted. All right, we see you. We see you. I believe Kevin O'Leary said something on, and I think he calls for 400, and this was trending on the internet just an hour ago. People saying do 400% tariffs on China. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section. Them patriots saying hell yeah. Hell yeah, Rick. Let's do it.
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well, hold on a second, Kevin. Well, I hear you, but hold on. If we're talking about people, the average consumer, not necessarily the head honchos of businesses all across the globe, can they withstand the pressure of that sort of tax on the goods?
It's short-lived. There will be.
But what's your timeline compared to, you don't know the average American's timeline, what they can actually survive. There's people right now who can't survive.
400% tomorrow morning, cheese on an airplane to Washington to cut a deal.
Oh man, it says, can we just assume that congressional members who are against tariffs on China are getting paid by China? And I know Pete Hegseth will pull that up, but it is going down. I know Treasury. Okay, this is the clip I want to show right here. You'll be cutting your own throat. Yeah. Treasury Secretary sent a strong warning to countries thinking about aligning with China. Check it out. Europe.
In terms of escalation, unfortunately, the biggest offender in the global trading system is China, and they're the only country who's escalated. And I can tell the rest of the world that, I'm not sure whether it was the Prime Minister or the Economic Minister in Spain made some comments this morning, oh, well, maybe we should align ourselves more with China. That would be cutting your own throat, because I can tell you that these Chinese exports that the US tariff wall is going to keep out, that China, for all of you who can remember that Disney movie of the brooms carrying the buckets of water, that is the Chinese business model. It never stops. They just keep producing and producing and dumping, and it's going somewhere. And I think, Rob, at the end of the day, that we can probably reach a deal with our allies, with the other countries that have been long-term. They've been good military allies, not perfect economic allies, and then we can approach China as a group.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Somebody got to be the one to put their foot down, man. Somebody has to be the one to put their foot down. And that's this administration, man. And we send our prayers to this administration.
Out Panama and the United States, less secure, less prosperous, and less sovereign. And as President Donald Trump has pointed out, that situation is not acceptable. We are grateful to President Molino, Minister Abrego, and your teams, along with the Panama Canal Authority, for responding to these threats and safeguarding the canal. President Molino's decision to withdraw from the Belt and Road Initiative reflects his government's clear understanding of China and the threat it poses. I want to be very clear. China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together with Panama in the lead, we will keep the canal secure and available for all nations through the deterrent power of the strongest, most effective, and most lethal fighting force in the world.
Says trade should have ended with China when they released a bioweapon that murdered 20 million people. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Oh man, it is going down, you guys. It is really going down. What do y'all think of all this? Please comment down below. He also Treasury Secretary also said that Trump laid a trap and China fell into it. This was driven by the president's strategy. He might even say that he go to China right into a bad position. Hey, they responded. They've shown themselves to the world to be bad actors. Yeah, buddy. Here's what Trump should do to counter China's new tariffs on America. So, force sale all Chinese-owned farmland in America. Force sale Chinese ownership in all 4 meat packers in America. No Chinese national can own property in America. All property investments must be liquidated. Residential and business. Pulling all student visas. Sending all Chinese spies home. Fierce investigations going forward on all political contributions from China government officials. A complete ban on lobbying money. Woo! I got to sneeze after that. Hold on, can I sneeze? Did it come out? Whew. Thank you. Thank you. I know the picture say, bless you, Rick. Thank you. Thank you. I love y'all. Thank you, family. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate y'all, family. Love y'all, family. He says that Matt says that the currency just collapsed. I want to check this video out. Let's pull it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a consequence of President Trump's tariffs on Chinese imports, right this very moment, the Chinese currency is absolutely collapsing. Now, as many of you may know, yesterday afternoon, President Trump increased his tariffs on China by 104% because China decided to escalate their tariffs on the United States.
And now it's at 125. And them patriots say make it 400.
You see, China must have thought that their britches were just a little bit bigger than they actually are, because as it would turn out, declaring a trade war against the world's largest economy, the United States of America, isn't actually such a good idea after all. You see, as things stand right now, China's currency is at its lowest valuation in over 15 years, and it just keeps getting lower. But okay, so why is all of this really happening? Well, take a look at this recent breakdown from President Trump's Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent.
I think it was a big mistake, this Chinese escalation, because they're playing with a pair of twos. Traditionally, if you look at the history of the trade negotiations, we are the deficit country. So what do we lose by the Chinese raising tariffs on us? We export 1/5 to them of what they export to us. So that is a losing hand for them.
Now, folks, Secretary Bessent brings up a really great point. Every single year, China exports around 5 times as much to us as we export to them. The ratio is around 5 to 1. So what that means is that if China decides to go tariff for tariff against President Trump and the United States, they are going to lose because ultimately they're getting hit with 5 times the tariff value that we are. And then also, on top of that entire dynamic, one of President Trump's primary goals in dealing with China is to bring home manufacturing back into the United States of America, which actually means maintaining tariffs on China in the long term. So really, what all of this means is that pretty much right now, China is in a lose-lose situation. No matter what happens, there's no avoiding the fact that they are going to lose some of their manufacturing dominance. That much is for certain. But also, if they want to continue to sell their goods to American consumers, and they do, they're going to have to pay up big time. And so, ladies and gentlemen, this is why President Trump is so confident in his negotiations with China, and this is why the Chinese currency is collapsing right now. Here's the reality. The Chinese financial elite know that they are going to lose this tariff war against President Trump and the United States, and as a consequence, they are going to lose a lot of power and money. In fact, take a look at what President Trump himself had to say about all of this just last night.
Right now, China is paying a 104% tariff. Think of it, 104%.
I love when the viral clip as well we showed last night from the NRCC when he said, "Oh, they're calling me, and they want to negotiate. They're kissing my ass." Oh man, can nobody negotiate like me?
Now it sounds ridiculous, but they charged us for many items 100%, 125%. Many countries have. They've ripped us off left and right. But now it's our turn to do the ripping.
You hear that, folks? The days of China ripping off American consumers have come to an end. Now we are the ones doing the ripping. The reality is, for decades now, various other countries around the world, but primarily China, have been guilty of ripping off the American economy. And so finally, after years of all talk and no action, President Trump is actually doing something about it. In fact, check out what Stephen Miller had to say about all of this yesterday afternoon. Take a look.
Let's stay focused on the most important fundamentals here, which is that because of President Trump's action to protect and defend our national security and our manufacturing base, the entire world that has abused and misused and mistreated the United States is now coming to the table to establish a new and fair global trading framework. This is something people have talked about doing, they've dreamed about doing, they've thought about doing for half a century. And especially over the last 25 years, since the trading abuses have reached a chronic point for America's economic and national security. And now that long-awaited national dialogue and negotiation is actually happening. So countries that have run up these multi-trillion-dollar trade deficits over many years are coming to the table, meeting with the president's economic team, people like Scott Bessent and Howard Lutnick and Jameson Greer, to determine what they can do to lower their trade barriers, reduce their trade deficits, purchase more American manufactured goods, and end the systemic unfair treatment of America. At the same time, the president is focusing on the number one bad global actor responsible for these trading imbalances, responsible for the erosion of our manufacturing base, responsible for the undermining of our domestic and national security, and that's China, because their industrial policies in a very targeted way have focused on dismantling the American industrial base. And that's the reason why so many of our factories and plants have been shuttered over all these years. President Trump is correcting that.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is what all of this is about. Rectifying these absolutely egregious trade imbalances that decades of incompetent American leadership has allowed to happen, in conjunction with countries around the world looking to pick the flesh from our country's bones, and Lord knows they have. And so, folks, as things stand right this very moment, these egregious imbalances are already being rectified. Take a look.
And for those of you that want to know the tariffs, you've been hearing about tariffs, we're taking in almost $2 billion a day in tariffs. $2 billion a day. And we're doing very well.
You hear that, folks? President Trump's tariffs are already bringing in $2 billion per day. And so, of course, if you multiply that out, that comes to around $730 billion per year. And you know what? President Trump is just getting started. So, folks, here's the truth. Not only is China's economy pretty much imploding right now under the weight of President Trump's tariffs, but also this entire situation sends a very clear message to every other country around the globe. If you try to play hardball with President Trump and the United States of America, you will lose. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Whoa! Yes, indeed, man.
And so that is why so far, just in the last 3 days, over 70 countries around the globe have reached out to the Trump administration to try to negotiate their way out of all of these reciprocal tariffs.
It's happening, man. It is happening. Now it's at 125%. They say make it up 400. Make it 400, man. It is going down, family. Let me know what y'all think of all this. And again, before we get out of here, we just want to send our prayers to the Trump administration and to President Trump, man. Again, he's on a different type of timing. He's doing exactly what he campaigned on. He's doing exactly what he said. You know, he's doing exactly what he said. And that right there is throwing people off. That right there is throwing people off. Because he's doing exactly what he said, what he campaigned on. But again, we send our prayers and we're rooting for America. We're rooting for this administration. And it's happening in real time, man. Love y'all, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace and love, family.